Welcome back this morning here in the studio, where we're going to have episode 3 of Musings from the studio. Let's see, what do we got on tap today? One thing is, the flowers I got yesterday, there they sit. They're really starting to open up, and so this morning my session will be to get set up and begin this big canvas right behind me here. And I have all these ideas in mind about how that painting is going to unfold, and that's something I want to encourage you to do as well. Whenever you're about to begin a painting project, large or small, or in between, I think it's a good idea to spend some time first thinking about it, imagining what it looks and feels like, and then let that idea guide you through the whole process. So if you're painting a still life, it can guide you into what subject matter you'll choose and how you'll set it up and how you'll light it, and on and on. So if you have an idea of what sort of mood you want from your painting, this imagination, this visualization, this contemplation on what it is that you want to do will help you choose what it is that you end up with. So that's my first suggestion, is that you spend time imagining or thinking about what it is that you want, and then go about achieving that through the setup or selecting the subject. Whether if you're painting a landscape, then you will gravitate towards the landscape that matches your vision for your painting. If it's figurative work, same thing. You'll find the right combination of conditions that match that. So everything starts here, starts right there. And of course the feeling of what you have here. And when you get those things in alignment, it makes the whole painting process much easier to accomplish. And a lot of the decisions excuse me, a lot of the decisions are already made, because in a way you've constructed it inwardly. Okay, now let's see, I wanted to talk about this. Currently I have work on display at the Art Life Fest in Moscow right now. The Art Life Academy is a year-round school, academy, and arts program in Moscow, at least partially funded by the city itself and the funds that come from the government. But they have a fabulous program annually, an event where they invite artists from all over the world to show their work. I have 5 pieces there this year. Last year I had 4. My pieces there this year are much larger. We were able to attend last year, but because of the current conditions, we weren't able to attend this year. But I've been getting a steady stream of feedback from people that are at the festival. It's all week long. And they've been sending me photographs, videos, tagging me in their stories and posts. It's really been great to see. So if you want to have a gander at it, go to Art Life Moscow or Art Life Fest 2020. I believe they have both those are Instagram accounts, and they have a lot of content there, and there's some pretty amazing stuff going on. So happy to have that. Also still have a large piece, a floral piece down at Sugarlift's Gallery in Chelsea, in New York City, at their exhibition called Still, and it's a still life exhibit. So that's going on in New York City, and I'm pretty delighted to see these works placed in these pretty cool locations like that. So, yeah, that's what's going on. Now, I think that as far as our conversation for today, though I did have the conversation about using your internal imagination and visualization to create your painting actually before you start, I also wanted to talk a little bit about balance. I was reminded of that this morning when I was reading in my Transurfing in 78 Days book, which, by the way, if you haven't explored the concept of transurfing, reality transurfing, Bottom Zealand, who also is a Russian physicist, quantum physicist, fascinating stuff. Something I've been exploring now for a while, really enjoying it, and highly recommend it. And so I'm using that little book called Transurfing in 78 Days. Every day there's a reading from it, and this morning's reading was about balance. And it sort of segues a lot with what we were talking about. Actually, this was a post that I had on Instagram where I talked about where you assign something an inordinate amount of importance, and you make the achievement of it. We touched upon this yesterday. So important that your disappointment and your anxiety around the achievement of it can be multiplied many times over. So again, the suggestion is turn every painting into an experiment. Make it an experiment. I'm going to see how this goes. I'm going to explore this idea. I'm going to set for myself an idea of color harmony or value relationships or simplification, or choose some kind of principle, and then let that painting explore that. You explore it through the act of painting. Now, that doesn't mean you don't bring all the other possibilities into play as well, but it's a good idea when you're doing any painting for it to have, I would say, a focus on some artistic principle, one of the fundamentals. And if you have that focus, then it also gives all the other options that you have available to you the opportunity to come into play, yet as an adjunct to your overriding principle. So make it an experiment. Take the time to give yourself the opportunity to think about what it is you're going to explore in this particular painting, and allow yourself to expand your understanding of how that works in this particular piece that you're working on. And then once you've entered that expansion and you own it, you bring it forward with you into subsequent work. It's not unlike a musician who's exploring a particular piece of music and concentrating on, in a certain performance, talking about maybe concentrating on phrasing, for instance, or harmonic structure, or melodic line, or any of the different aspects that are available. And of course, when you perform the piece of music, you bring everything you've got to it, but you might focus in on one aspect of the whole gamut of possibilities. And so I suggest that you do the same thing when you're painting. If it happens to be, I want to explore the large relationships between light and shadow. I want to explore what goes on inside the shadows, and how that impacts the whole painting. So let every painting become like a study or an experiment in one of the principles of really good painting. So, yeah, and in doing so, to go back to my original point, you will maintain a balanced approach in that you're not going to give this painting and its outcome some inordinate amount of weight, so that the achievement of this outcome becomes so important that anything less than exactly what you hoped it would be becomes a disappointment. Yeah, I think that's all I need to say on that. So experiment as much as possible. Be playful, be speculative, let's see what goes on, let's see how this turns out. What if we did this? Maybe this will happen, so forth. Take that light attitude and then bring everything you got to bear on the process of the painting and see how the chips fall. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow with more musings. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your painting. Enjoy whatever you do today, and I'll see you later on.